Okay, and we're live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 6 of Sportscast ZA. This evening, we have with us an incredibly hardworking athlete, swimmer, and fitness enthusiast, as you can tell. Josh Goldberg, welcome. Good evening. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me, Reese. Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Joshy, would you like to start by introducing yourself?
Okay, so as Reese introduced me, I am Josh Goldberg. I am a coach, a swimmer, and a student. I'm still studying. I'm doing a degree in DN Med, so alternative medicine. I'm very passionate about fitness. My main passion is swimming, though, however. I've got a love of swimming that if I could do it for the rest of my life, I would. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
look, on that note, right?
Mm.
I'm obviously jumping here now, but there's certain cues that I would like to stick to. Um, Speaking of doing something for the rest of your life, you recently chose to stop working to pursue a
Yes.
career in swimming. Tell us what that was about and how that decision came about.
So, in terms of work-life balance, I'm probably the worst person to ask about. Yeah, I firmly believe that if you chase two rabbits, you catch neither. I was at a point in my career where I have to make a decision between my financial career and my swimming career. I'm in a very fortunate position that I had a sponsor who was very gracious and gave me the opportunity just to kind of take a step back and put my swimming back on the priority list. But I had to weigh up all my options of like risk to reward. And I can always buy back money. I can't buy back time. You only have a very short window to be an athlete. And I had to go at the end of my life. If I look back, would I say I was a really hardworking person and I worked at my job like forever? And that's probably not something I would have looked at. I would have said I had the courage to chase my dreams and inspire others in the process, hopefully. So, you know, I had to make that decision for myself. Yeah, that's basically what led to that.
No, that's fantastic. So now let's jump to the beginning, because that's sort of the middle period of our conversation. Um, would you like to share with us what your upbringing was like?
Sure. I grew up in a very happy house. My mom was a business, like she was as business centric as you could possibly get. She actually was one of the co-founding members of Sorbet. Um, and my father was in construction and he was very heavily involved in the police. So both very disciplined people. So very big shoes to fill. My household revolved around discipline. There was a lot of love, but you had to perform.
Yes, absolutely.
And my father's side was quite a athletic background. My mother's side was very academic. So I would say how I got into swimming is, funnily enough, I was a terrible athlete. Like I was shocking. Like if you want to know that story, I can tell you. I was at a cross country meet, and my father came to watch me, and he was this big guy, and the race started, and I think I made it 400 meters around the track, and the asthmatics passed me, and I was stone lost, and I'm running up the hill, and my old man's, your father will love you regardless, and they want you to do well.
Yes.
So he's like, "Go, Josh," and I'm like, "I'm trying," I'm like crying, and I hated that feeling. And I saw these people as massively successful human beings, even at a young age. So I felt that I needed to live up to that in some way. So yeah, he had an 8-year-old running around the field in the winter, training in the off season so that I could win the cross country race the next year. I landed up winning. So I went from being like a shocking athlete to being somebody that was winning all these events. yeah, that's basically how I got into training and how my family background was. Yeah, that's about that.
Yeah, the next question was actually going to be when would you say your love for swimming came from? Where did that first start?
So I never thought that I had a love of swimming initially. I had a love of being in water. I think my first word was actually water, like funnily enough. Um, but yeah, no, coming from being the kid that was very unathletic and really struggled with like even a cross country run or whatever, I always knew how to swim. I learned how to swim around the corner from my house at a lady called Cheryl Milner, sorry, my apologies. And then, yeah, the fitness that I got from the running translated to the pool. And I won the Victor Ladorum that year. And I was like, I really like this feeling. This is awesome. Like, I was quite an ADHD kid as well. So being put into something like swimming, it's very calming. So I kind of process a lot of stuff when I'm in the pool. So it was a good way to kind of get me to settle down and concentrate. That was the first thing, and I really loved the feeling of winning that Victor Ladorum. Like that was my number one starting point. I liked winning more than swimming at that stage. So if I was good at it, I was doing it.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I want us to stay on that note, right? And I want us to recognize some of your most memorable milestones that you would say you've achieved. I know some of them, but I would like you to share maybe a top five most memorable, moment or milestone that you've achieved in swimming.
So my number one will always be, doesn't matter how, if I made it to the Olympics, if I made it to Commonwealth, or my number one would always be that Victor Ladorum, that first win. It's like I would say compare it to like a drug addict. I got addicted to that feeling. Sure, love that. Top five, I think for a swimmer, every young swimmer will know this one: the 30-second barrier for the 50 free. It feels like you are fighting and fighting and fighting. Some guys get through it. I wasn't one of those. Then I would say winning my first youth elite medal at when I was young. I won a youth elite medal, which means that you're in a different category to the normal guys that do the nationals. So
Yes.
you've technically qualified for senior nationals, but you're still a youth swimmer. So I won a youth elite medal as well as a normal junior nationals medal, which I think that those two can go together. And then I would say this year, my biggest achievement for myself was breaking another barrier, which was getting into the 23s for the 53. There's not many people in the country that can do that. So I didn't think personally that I'd get there. So I'm pretty happy. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of my goals have shifted to more progress driven goals instead of end result goals. But yeah, I would say my youth elite medals, my junior nationals medals, those type of things, they kind of become obsolete. They kind of land up collecting dust. It's more the feelings of your achievements. Those tend to
Yeah, the
last more than
memory.
anything else. Yeah, the memories. Yeah.
Absolutely. So on your way there, obviously there's always going to be obstacles. What do you remember about, you know, striving towards these targets that was an obstacle that you had to overcome?
Sure. When you're younger, it's easy. Like you have huge time drops. It's any small amount of effort kind of goes a very long way. The better you get at something, the harder it is to get better at that something. It's diminishing returns. So I would say the biggest challenges that I've had in my entire career, I had a shoulder dislocation. I went and I swam at the Maccabi Games, and I really did my shoulder in. It wasn't a good time, and I got told by three surgeons, one of which said to me, "You'll never swim again," which is not something somebody who loves the sport wants to hear. Uh, yeah, I got told you'll never swim again. Then I did about a year and a half, a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort doing rehab so that I didn't have to have a massive shoulder surgery. And it took a lot of patience. I think that was a massive one. Uh, I would say COVID. COVID was quite a big challenge for swimmers. We didn't have access to pools, not all of us. Some of us did. I wasn't one of the fortunate ones. So that kind of placed me in a position where I said, is this, you know, you're a young man, you've just left school, and you kind of figuring out what you want to do with your life. And you have to kind of decide, is this something I really want to do? And when you're out of something for a long time, you tend to go, nah, it's too much effort. So I think COVID was a massive blow. When you add all of those up, it's about 4 years worth of not swimming. So yeah, that I think those are my biggest challenges. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that with us. Joshi,
Mm.
who would you say, apart from your parents, and I remember you mentioned Cheryl Milner, um,
Yeah.
were your mentors in swimming or in life in general, to push yourself the way you actually do now, even to this day? I mean, I see you in the gym every other day,
Yeah.
walking by, and you will be training. I'm working, you're training. You've obviously made that switch. Who would you say those people are for you? And you don't need to mention all of them, but just a few.
So I would say I've got a really good support system, but people who I look up to, I would say my coaches, Robin Raven and Jared Kraus. Robin is the national director of Virgin Active Swimming, and Jared Kraus is also, I think he's the head coach of my squad, but he is an Olympian already and a fantastic human being. Apart from that, I would say our very own at Red Hill, Tinus van Rensburg,
Nice.
the amount of patience, the amount of care. If I have a question, he's always willing to answer. He took a big gamble on me because I'm a guy getting back into a sport from zero. And yeah, he always has time for me. He always deals with me in a very professional way, always gives me direction and gives me hard truth when I need it as well. I say I get that mostly from my coaches. I think that coaches are very underappreciated. They don't often hear how far the work that they do actually goes. I see when I was working the amount of passion that everybody in, I can only speak from where I was, but the radio department had. I don't think I know a single person in there that isn't currently and from when I was there isn't passionate about what they do. They care about every person, every individual. It just seems that when I stepped up to the challenge, you give the energy that you get the energy that you give, and I
Yeah.
tend to see that like coaches are genuinely very underappreciated. And yeah, between Tinus, Robin, and Jared, lots of guidance, lots of yeah, I view them all very highly, very special people.
No, that's fantastic. Joshi, there's one thing I guess you wouldn't class as a milestone, but I know you to have had a swimming scholarship. Um,
Yes, yes.
would you like to share with us how that came about and what it's like to maintain that?
Okay, so sure. I was actually at another private school. I was at Crawford, and good school. I just wasn't gelling so well. There was like it wasn't my place, and I was at a gala at Ellis Park, and I got scouted, and I got approached, and I got told you will be up for and eligible for a scholarship should you apply. And I knew that we have, well, at Radial, they have some of the best facilities in the country. They have the best education system that you can get in the country. There's very few places like Radial, it's also got a very special environment. So I jumped at that. Whereas I don't think I would have ever gone to school there. It was just one of those things that was a little bit out of reach. So yeah, that opened a massive door for me, like swimming in that way. Maintaining a scholarship, I would say, from a coach's perspective, when I was coaching, and from a swimmer's perspective, it's from a swimmer's perspective. Firstly, I think it is very demanding. You're expected to perform at your club. You're expected to perform at for your school as well, and you've got a million other commitments going on, and you're getting pulled in a million different ways. And a lot of the time we get lost in that. But I found that if you do what the other party wants you to do, it's a contract at the end of the day. So if they're giving you something that you would never get and a quality that you wouldn't get anywhere else. So at the end of the day, I found to come to my one training in the morning to be with people that weren't necessarily on the same type of like hardcore training plan that I was on, but it was more camaraderie based, was so beneficial to my mental state. Like it's such a good break, but there's also a lot of value that you can learn. I mean, just because something isn't done with your professional coach doesn't mean that there isn't value in it. You could be missing a basic skill that, I mean, I remember at that stage, Mr. Gerassi was coaching the radial swimming team, and he picked up something in my stroke, which was I wasn't finishing my pull through. I was doing a half pull. And, like if I'd been arrogant and I said, no, here, there's nothing that I can gain from this. There's no benefit of me going there, blah, 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 a million other things. I could have missed that. My coaches could have missed that. It
Yeah.
can happen. So, all value, all critique, all opportunities that you have, take them. Take them. So if you're a scholarship swimmer or a scholarship student and your school expects you to come to training once a week, it's not going to kill your program. That's what I would say. And the benefits that you're going to have on it, you're going to look back and say, I'm so glad that I did that. I'm so glad. You're part of something that's a little bit bigger than your own swimming. You're part of a team, which is
Yes.
refreshing.
No, that's wonderful. I just want to take an opportunity to quickly shout out our sponsor. Um, if we could just cue that up, please. Um, Coop Active. Do you have it there? There we go. Okay, Joshy, this looks like something you'll be wearing, mate.
Oh yeah,
Skins.
that
So
looks amazing.
they have long sleeve skins. They have long pant skins,
Brilliant.
as well as three-quarter skins. We're just taking a second to view them all. The short skins, and then as well as the fan favorite, the number one grip sock in South Africa.
Brilliant.
So, on that note, I just want our viewers to please take an opportunity to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok as well as Instagram at SportscastZA. Shout out to our technical director this evening, Sandman Sports. I couldn't be more grateful. As you can see, the production quality of this podcast is so much better, thanks to Sandman Sports. Shout out to Saint Taffy, who also supplied the cameras for this evening. Very, very grateful. Joshy, back to our conversation. I want to know what your coaching philosophy or your philosophy as a swimmer in terms of success would be.
Sure. I would say my approach to on both sides, coaching and swimming, is if it's meant to be, it's up to me, 100%. You know, you can be the best coach in the world, but if you're an athlete that is uncoachable, that is lazy, that doesn't arrive on time, that cuts corners, you're not gonna get the result that you want. At the end of the day, the effort that you put into something is going to determine the result that you're going to get. So I would personally say that your coach can take you, they can hold your hand for 50% of the way. They can write the program for you. They can give you words of encouragement. They can do their best from that perspective. But at some point, you are the person that's in the water. You're the person that's on the field. You're the person that actually has to get up and do it. Your coach, most of them have been there and done that. Yeah, so I firmly believe in accountability leads to success. Um, yeah,
That's awesome. And on that note, obviously, in terms of success and getting there, like you said, it takes time, discipline, etc.
yeah.
Are there any other values that you would like to add, values, principles, ethics that our listeners or potential national swimmers, provincial swimmers, school swimmers, people who are on scholarships, um, to live by?
Sure. I would say respect is a massive thing. Respect your coaches. Respect yourself enough to give yourself the opportunities that you deserve. Also, respect your competition. When I was younger, I was in quite a interesting time for swimming. I think that it was quite a toxic environment at a certain stage. There was lots of nastiness, and you didn't beat this person, and you didn't beat that person. This, I don't think that's the way to go about it. At the end of the day, the guy who's on the block next to you, the guy who's on the field next to you, they've worked equally as hard to be there. So, you got to respect that without those people being there, there'd be no race. So, respect, I think, is a massive it's a massive value that you have to add to yourself as an athlete. Hard work, discipline. Discipline will get you through on days where you're not motivated. Discipline is a massive one. In anything you do, if you're an athlete, if you're a business person, if you're somebody who's a student, there's going to be those days where you don't want to do it. Just do it anyway. There's at the end of the day, it's for yourself. Um, yeah. So discipline, respect, and gratitude as well. Being grateful for the small wins as well. So that will get you through to where you need to be.
No, that's fantastic. Um, any future ambitions or goals that you're striving towards?
You and I both know this one. The Olympic Games. I would love to be there in 2028. So we didn't quite hit the mark. I talk about eating an elephant, but yeah, I've realized that to eat an elephant, you've got to take very small bites. So
Yes.
step by step, I want to hopefully get to an international competition in the next year or two. So I'd love to do World University. My converted time from long course puts me in range to qualify for the World University Games. Then we can try and push for like short course, like the short course world, stuff like that. But there's lots of small steps that I tried to skip to on the way to try and get to my big goal. And my lesson would be don't do that. Don't do it.
Yes.
There's a reason why there's a tried and tested path. If you're trying to do something in a matter of months, it takes years. You'll see improvement, but you're not going to get to the end result. But yeah, definitely the Olympic Games. We're on the right trajectory. It's just going to be a lot of work. I would say Commonwealth would be another big one for me, and then the short course worlds would be awesome. Yeah.
No, on that note, Joshi, I want us to play a game quickly. This is it's a new segment on the show, and for every other show going forward, we'll have what's called the Coop Active Duel, right? And
Okay.
so how it works is we have two categories, men and women. Um, we have four names that I've chosen, men and women. So
Okay.
when I shout out a name, there'll be a competitor, and you have to choose one. And then
Oi.
whoever you choose stays on, and then I'll shout out another name, and then whoever you choose stays on. You get how it works.
You're going to create warfare in the swimming community.
No, man, this is just for fun.
No, no, no.
Um,
Okay, I'm ready.
so here we go. Coop Active Duel, Roland Skuman, Chad Leclerc.
Oh, for me personally, who I love more or the better swimmer overall?
Look, I don't think you need to justify it in that many words. Whoever's best for you. It's all about
Roland.
you tonight.
Roland Skuman.
So Roland
Swimming at
stays, eh?
44.
So Roland stays. Okay.
Yeah.
Roland or Cameron van der Berg?
Cameron van der Berg.
Oh, nice. And then the last duel will be Cameron van der Berg, Ryk Neethling.
Oh, Cameron. 100% Cameron.
Okay. Round of
Oh, yeah.
applause there. Cam van der Berg wins that one. Now on to our women's section. Um, sure. This one's gonna be fun as well. We have Tatiana Schoenmaker and Natalie Dutoy.
Oh, no, that's so unfair. I love Tatiana, but I'm going to have to say Natalie. She was amazing. Yeah.
Natalie takes that one. Okay, Natalie and Penny Haynes.
Oh, uh, I'm sticking with Natalie.
Okay, Natalie. Looks like Natalie might take this one. Natalie or Lara van Niekerk?
Oh, Laura's a great swimmer. Um, but I can't choose Laura and not
And
Tatiana.
not Tatiana, yeah.
I have to say Natalie stays. Hey, Natalie has to stay.
Okay, that's awesome. So Natalie Dutoy and Cameron van der Berg wins the
Oh
first
yeah,
ever Coop Active Duel on Sportscast ZA. Thanks for playing with us, Joshi.
oh yeah. Thank you. That was fun.
I know that was extremely tough. Some of your favorite swimmers, some of the
Yeah.
best current swimmers. So, yeah. Predictions for the upcoming Olympics. Thoughts, predictions, um, any feedback from your side as a swimmer, being in that
So I
space,
would
any
say
insight?
that our ones to watch are Peter Kutsia, 100%. That guy's a phenomenal talent. Yeah, I've seen him. He's like a jack of all trades, but also a master of all of them too. Like he's
Yes.
phenomenal in the water. Chad, I think has something to prove this year. So yeah, I think that he's going to really push himself. But I would say Tatiana Schoenmaker, like
Yes.
she's unbelievable. She's swimming times close to her personal bests ever. I think that we might actually see her take a gold. If I can push that one out there, I'm a little bit biased. I think that she's a fantastic swimmer. But yeah, Peter and Tuts, I'd watch for medals, medal contention. We also have a couple of other really good guys going. We've got quite a strong team, but yeah, out of all of them, I'd definitely say watch Peter, watch Tatiana. They're the ones to watch.
No, that's fantastic. Any comments on Lara? Because when I did my research, I seen obviously Lara come up a few times as well.
Sure. They seem to have a bit of a rivalry between Lara and Tuts. Both phenomenal swimmers, both phenomenal human beings as well. Um, yeah, I would say that she's also going to perform well. I don't know if she will beat Tatiana, but yeah, no, I would also give her a fair chance at possibly medaling, at least making a final. Both, I mean, all our swimmers from South Africa seem to be world class. Most of our sports is world class, but I would say our swimmers tend to shine very, very hard at the Olympics. So yeah, Laura, I would give it to Tuts. I'd give it to Tuts in that one.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah, I think also historically, me growing up, watching the Olympic Games, swimming's always been the one to get us
mm,
medals, most of
yeah,
it, a big
massive.
chunk of it. So yeah, it's obviously great to have you on at this stage, building up to the
Yeah,
Olympics. So I'm very excited. Whenever we send swimmers to the Olympic Games, I know they're medaling. That's for
sure.
certain.
Yeah,
That's
mhm,
history. That's facts.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Joshi, I want us to, delve into obviously a bit of what you're studying, what you're currently doing, in terms of innovation in the sport, techniques, and what are you currently doing to enhance your performances?
So, I'm I'm very cautious not to get involved with getting sidetracked. I think one of the biggest things that can derail an athlete is it doesn't matter what sport you're in, is too much of a good thing. If you go out partying, if you go out drinking, if you're getting involved in the wrong things, you tend to find that that's going to hurt all your performances. It's going to hurt your training. It's going to throw you off, and you're going to lose sight of what the end goal really is. So I would say I'm very strict on my sleep. I make sure that I wear my watch so that I can track my sleep. Make sure that I get 8 hours exactly. I've got to make sure that my calorie needs are met like throughout the day because it's very demanding training the way that we're training at the moment. Then on top of it, I would say we've changed our training methodology a little bit. So we've adopted more of a Brett Hawk sprint set type of system, which seems to be working very, very well. A lot of people are finding a lot of success with his program. I would say that swimming training seems to be trailing behind a little bit behind all the rest of the sports. We kind of operating in the 70s instead of if you have a sprint runner, you don't see Usain Bolt running 10K races or 10K runs or 5K runs in training. You see him more practicing the elements that make him fast. So that's kind of where the direction of sprinting seems to be going, is more towards specificity of training. So lots of lifting, making sure that their aerobic fitness is there, but a lot of emphasis on sprinting, a lot of emphasis on technical work, that type of stuff. Yeah, that's what I've done mainly as changes this year to my training, which has made a massive difference.
No, that's fantastic. On that note, I just want to let the audience know that if they visit the Coop Active website, and use the coupon Sportscast ZA10, you get a 10% discount off your first purchase.
Awesome. Seems to be technical difficulties.
Am I back? I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
Man, sorry about that.
I thought I was going to be the host from now on.
Please feel free. Sorry, so sorry to our
No,
audience
man.
there. Small technical difficulties. But I must say, so far, it's been 100 times
Awesome.
better. Um, Yeah, we'll sort that one out for next time. Um, Joshy, in terms of, I know you're still fairly young in the game and in the sport and in your coaching as well. Um, so far, I know you've impacted lots of kids and kids like aspire to be like you and all those things. What would you say so far your legacy has been?
So, sure, that was probably one of the most difficult choices I ever had to make was leaving the work that we were in. Yeah, the kids that you're with, you kind of take on as your own. And I had to weigh up what I'm doing, kind of as an example for the kids. Would you rather be there as a coach all the time, which is a very significant role, a massive, it's a massive role, or could I leave and sacrifice in the short term, but give the kids a lesson of not giving up on yourself and you know going for what you believe in, despite whether people think you can, despite whether people think you can't. So my philosophy was that I wanted the kids to look one day and be like, my coach did something, and it was something great. And I understand that, like, you have to chase your dreams. I think that that's one of the biggest legacy that I could leave is that you know go out and that trying is cool. Try something. You tend to see people not trying today. It's almost uncool if you do try. So I would say that's what I wanted more than anything else. Go out, try your best. If it doesn't work out, or if it does work out, great. But what you're doing is you're showing bravery, you're showing integrity, you're trying to lead by example. That I think that was the legacy that I wanted to leave the most. Lead by example.
Lead by example. And I think, as you say, it's not fashionable to take risks as big as you did,
Yeah,
finance versus career. I think finance in this sense is very short term or short sighted.
yeah,
Your career, working hard, fortunately having a sponsor that says, listen, I'm going to back you. You go out and train for the next 4 years, and we'll see where we end up. So, yeah, kudos to you for that one. That's a massive task.
thank you.
And yeah, hopefully it inspires all of us to go out and do the same. On that note of the legacy, we all come about memorable quotes, and I want you to share with us one that comes to mind for you.
Sure. I would say one of the greatest things I ever heard was work, 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 no result, but I'm a little bit better. Work, work,
Yes.
work, 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 no result, but I'm a little bit better. Work, 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 overnight success. That's how people think it goes. So
Yes, yes,
be
yes.
patient in the process. Be patient in the process. There's no such thing as overnight success. Mm.
Now, I think that's a great quote because every single person that I've interviewed so far, right, has done the work. Even if I look at my life, it generally comes uh, to 10 years or 10,000 hours, the 10,000 hour rule.
It's a fact.
So I really love that quote because it puts it into perspective in terms of you're going to work and nothing happens. Work, nothing happens. Work,
And then
suddenly you're this massive thing, and people think, hey, where does Josh Goldberg comes from? You know?
exactly,
So,
exactly.
yeah, I think so far, literally all six interviews would have said the same in some form or another.
Absolutely.
And then, Joshy, in closing, before we go, I just want you to share with us what you would like to be remembered as.
Sure. What I would love to be remembered as is a person who never gave up. That would be an awesome thing. An unrelenting force. So in my career, I've found that you'll tend to see this, Reese. I'm sure that you've seen elements of this like throughout your life. You try and do something, and your friends, your family, it could be whoever, your colleagues. But like, what happens if it doesn't? There's a lot of naysayers and a lot of people that aren't going to necessarily agree or support you. So be an unrelenting force. Be something that never yields. Like Moria Invictus is one of my favorite Latin sayings, and it goes, death before defeat. Like there's no circumstances that I'm giving up. Like I think that that's a massive thing to be remembered as somebody who never gave up. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. Obviously that brings the end of our conversation. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank you so much for coming on,
Thank you for having me.
sharing your side. And even though you're so young in your career, I still feel you're definitely an unrelenting force. Seeing you in the gym all the
Thanks, Reese.
time, looking at your physique, how you've grown over the years, that's just incredible.
Thanks,
So
Reese.
yeah, Joshi, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you soon again.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Shout out. Salute.